All right, I have a confession to make. I love these little breakfast sandwiches from Chick-fil-A. Sure, they took a simple nugget and placed it inside a deliciously small biscuit, but I cannot get enough of these things. I love them. In the past 2 weeks, I've ordered them 4 times. The first time I ordered them, I only got a 3 count. That was really dumb because they come in 4 and the box holds 4. I don't mess around anymore. That's why I only get the 4 count. These tiny sandwiches are fantastic, and I could eat them every single day of my life. There are days when I wake up and the very first thing on my mind is this sandwich. Look, cereal isn't gonna cut it anymore, and a Pop-Tart is like garbage in my mouth compared to these heavenly chicken biscuits. If they made a 38 count box for breakfast, I would totally buy it. I absolutely love these things, and I can't wait until there's another box in front of me. Have you ever had the desire for something like this in your life? Not just something silly like these ridiculous chicken minis. Maybe clothes or a cool electronic. But it also may have been a relationship or a person or an experience. You have your eye on that girl, you know her locker number, and because you're a super creeper and you stare at her, you also know her lock combination. You know her class schedule. You plan your route to your next class based on the possibility you might run into her. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. You can't wait for her to give you a hug. You think about her when you're in class. You can't get her out of your head. You're becoming obsessed with her and so consumed with her that you begin to think your life would be complete if she was your girlfriend. Look, most of us have thought about this in regards to another person, or we will. If he asked me to prom, if she went out with me, if I could just kiss her once, then I'd be unbelievably happy. But what usually ends up happening is we either never get what we want, shifting our attention to another person or thing, or we get what we want, but it doesn't live up to what we thought it would be. Even though we have put all kinds of energy and thoughts into this one thing, we end up getting a little burned in the process. It didn't deliver. It didn't end up being what we had hoped it would be or what it would promised it would be. Instead of trying to figure out why this happened, we simply move on to something else. Okay, well, this guy wasn't great, but him, I know he'll make my life better. We quickly move to the next thing because what we wanted was never meant to provide fullness in our lives. Over the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about sex. In the first week, we talked about how serious sex is because more is involved than just the physical act. It's emotional and mental and spiritual. Sex is so serious that when treated casually, there's a lot of damage that can be done to our lives and relationships. Which is what we talked about last week. Sex is powerful. Some girls use their bodies to get what they want from guys, and guys, well, they use their words to get what they want. The misunderstanding of the power of sex leads to all kinds of problems and issues. If we're not careful, we can begin to believe that sex is everything. It's everything that I need to be happy, to be content, to be cool, to be accepted, to be feeling loved. We begin to believe that there's nothing more important than sex. Once you experience it, then you'll be complete. In the book of Genesis, we find this story of Jacob. He's the younger twin brother of Esau, and his name means deceiver. His life was one of deception. He fooled his dad with a crazy scheme and took advantage of his brother. Jacob managed to get the very thing he thought would make him happy and complete, but he lost his family in the process. A little later on, Jacob makes his way to his uncle's farm, decides to stay, and begins working for him. His uncle Laban wanted to pay him for his labor and asked Jacob to come up with a salary. The Bible says that the great schemer Jacob had fallen in love with Laban's daughter Rachel, who was lovely in form and beautiful. Yep, that's biblical speak, for she was smoking hot. Jacob makes a deal with Laban. I'll work 7 years in return for your younger daughter Rachel. Hey, you're thinking just like me. 7 years? This guy's nuts. That's a crazy long time just to win the girl of your dreams. But this was the girl of his dreams. He wanted her, and he would do whatever it took to get her. So the story goes on. Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they only seemed like a few days to him because of his great love for her. Okay, all the girls in the room are thinking, that is so sweet. He worked 7 days, all day, every day, 7 years for her love. While all the girls in the room were just thinking that, the guys were thinking, that's stupid. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife. My time is completed, and I want to lie with her. Now all the girls in the room thinking, what a jerk. Well, all the guys are thinking, yep, that sounds about right. This may sound like a fairy tale ending, but it's far from over. Remember, Jacob's name means deceiver. Well, the deceiver is about to meet his match. In the time of this story, there was a particular order in which girls from a family were to be married. Older daughters got married first, then the next oldest. The youngest daughter had to wait. Rachel had an older sister named Leah. Leah had to be married before Rachel could be married. Uncle Laban failed to mention this to Jacob. So Laban brought together all the people of the place and gave a huge feast. But when evening came, Laban took his daughter Leah and gave her to Jacob, and Jacob lay with her. When morning came, there was Leah, not Rachel. Laban tricks Jacob into marrying the wrong daughter. And when Jacob calls him out on it, Laban tells Jacob, yeah, you can have Rachel, only if you agree to work another 7 years. Jacob does it. Out of his great love for Rachel, he works an additional 7 years to be with her. But it doesn't end when Jacob finally gets Rachel. Things continue to get more and more ridiculous. Not long into their marriage, Jacob and Rachel realize she can't have children. And Leah can. Leah actually has several sons with Jacob. Jacob wants no one but Rachel. He's head over heels in love with her. He's waited 14 years and he won't be satisfied until he has her. Leah, well, she loves Jacob and all she wants is his love in return and hopes that the sons she has will win and earn the love she so desperately desires. And she won't be satisfied until she has that. Then there's Rachel. She also loves Jacob, but all she wants is to be able to have children, to give Jacob the sons he wants. And she won't be satisfied until she has children to show her love for him. All these people wanted something. They were desperate, and they fell into the trap of believing that if they got what they wanted, they would be complete. For Jacob, it was love, and a relationship with Rachel was everything. For Rachel, it was kids, and the opportunity to have children was everything. For Leah, it was Jacob's love, Jacob's attention, and Jacob's affection. That was everything. But none of those things delivered in the end. None of them made them happy. None of it fixed their lives, satisfied their wants, or left them content or fulfilled. If we are not careful, we can begin to treat sex like Jacob treated having Rachel, like Rachel treated having kids, and like Leah treated having Jacob. Sex becomes the very thing we think will complete us. When we believe sex is everything, we will miss out on the very thing God has for us. After her fourth child, Leah finally begins to understand that what she really needs is something other than Jacob's love. She focuses her attention on God's love and begins to trust Him. She experiences God's favor and becomes very content in His blessings. Well, what is it? What is it that you hope sex will give you? Contentment, satisfaction, fulfillment, security, love, status? Some of you have turned to sex hoping to get what you wanted from that guy. Some of you have turned to sex to get what you wanted from others. Some of you have turned to sex to compensate for what you never got from a parent. Some of you have turned to sex to get that cheap thrill and feelings of purpose and satisfaction. Sex is not the means to the end you're looking for, because sex was never designed to give you everything. It was never designed to fix your problems or create false feelings. Sex is not everything. And ultimately, only God can meet the needs you have. In Him, you will find security and peace. He gives you the acceptance and love that you so desperately crave. Sex was created by God, and it is a great thing. He created sex to be serious and powerful, but he didn't make it everything.